What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports MLB Swing for the Fences show. I'm your host, Mangone. I'm here with DC. I'm here with Hoop. We're talking baseball on a Friday, and I can't wait. We got a nice little slate on tap for the people. DC, we'll kick it off with you first. How are you doing, and are you excited for this slate?
I'm good. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there when you said nice little slate, because it might end up being a little slate on a Friday night. Obviously, we normally have big ones. We are scheduled still for 11 games, but we just had the Nationals game wiped off the slate due to rain, and there might be a couple more coming here. I think we could see potentially 3 to 4 postponements. All of basically the first part of the slate could be wiped out with storms all over the East Coast. So that's kind of the big news of the day, I guess. I know it kind of sucks to lead the show with that, but that's kind of what we're monitoring, right, Hoop, as we get, closer to lock here, 3 hours from lock. And I'm just hoping we get news on these games early. I'm kind of hoping they just pull the plug and we can kind of break down the slate without them,
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's gonna be a shortened slate. I mean, it's right now there's 13 games. There's no way come lock that we have 13 games. Brewers, Nationals already postponed. The Braves, Mets should not be too far behind, and then Boston and Miami as well should also come off the board. I mean, there's just no way those games get played. You have the Cleveland situation, which it looks like it's going to be pretty chilly and rainy all day. Or all game. It's pretty nasty here in Detroit as well. I mean, it's cold and it's been raining all day. The rain's going to stop, but it's going to be cold there. So I think that's a boost to maybe Garrett Cole, which we'll talk about. So weather's going to play a big factor in tonight's slate. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Is it raining in Detroit, Hoop, because they're upset that Andre Drummond is in the playoffs and battling every night? Do they miss their hero, Andre Drummond, Hoop?
Their hero is no longer here to keep them happy. So yeah, it's a sad time around here for sure.
Yeah, but that obviously be big news because Garrett Cole's on the slate and that's big. DC, I don't know if you were going to say anything, but it's definitely there's a lot of weather we got to look at for sure on this slate.
Yeah, so it's rain all over the East Coast, and there's like 2 or maybe 3, I guess, kind of like distinct weather systems. So it's rain on the East Coast, and then in the Midwest. So like the Reds and Cubs are playing right now. It's cold and windy. We're seeing a 1-0 game, right, with 2 mediocre pitchers. That same weather system is going to be in all 3 of Detroit. Certainly the White Sox game is going to have, a little bit better weather, but I think we're going to see low scoring games in Detroit and Chicago, partly due to the weather. And then the Twins, they're going to play, but it's going to be cool in Minneapolis tonight too. A big change from what we've seen over the last week, right? We saw a lot of games in the 80s, a lot of high scoring affairs. So just a little bit of a strange slate. I think, most of your offensive guys, you're probably going to come from the later games, which is kind of unusual. Most people kind of like to stack up the early team. So it's going to be a little bit of a different approach tonight, I think.
Yep, I'm with you. We got Jimmy B in the chat. He says, my background looks weird. Honestly, it feels like I'm held hostage in a corner or something. I definitely look a little bit like now that he says that, but we'll get it going. I have a nice picture I'm going to hang up. I got some good stuff I'll have up here eventually, but it's Memorial Day weekend. I got some plans to go to the beach. How about you guys? Do you have any good plans? Some barbecues? The mask mandate got lifted in New Jersey. So, everyone's partying and having a good time. DC, you got any good plans this weekend for the holiday?
Nothing crazy. We've had just amazing weather here in Denver for the last week, and then we're going to get rain this entire weekend. So that's kind of a bummer. So we'll see. Hopefully it clears up by Monday and we can do something fun. Otherwise, there's always sports on TV. That makes for a good weekend anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we do have weather this weekend, so it won't be as great. But hey, we got basketball weekend long. Hoop, will you be playing some basketball, or do you have some neighbor fire pits that you're going to? Any good plans, Hoop?
It's my daughter's birthday, so that's I'll be focused in on birthday festivities. But the weather's not that great around here all weekend. I mean, it's really cold now. It's supposed to warm up a little bit, so maybe we'll get something going. Maybe hit the lake or something for a day. But like you said, the mask mandates are kind of getting lifted around the country. A little, the first glimpse of potentially back to normal for a lot of people, and it's long overdue. So ready to roll.
Yeah, it is funny to see. Actually, I went to get some food today, and someone like didn't have it on, and they felt like everyone was looking at them weird. They're like, it got lifted. They were kind of like arguing with people. Basically, it's very intriguing. I was just like, I don't want to be a part of this argument.
What I want to know, yeah, I was all excited because the mask mandates got lifted here just recently, and I tweeted about it. I went to Walmart. I didn't even have anything to shop for. I just wanted to walk around Walmart without a mask, do some casual shopping, and it says on the outside like, fully vaccinated individuals no longer required to wear a mask. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so who is actually, because there are still some people wearing masks in there. I'm like, if you're vaccinated, you don't need one. And if you're not, wouldn't you just pretend that you are and just go in there? At this point, like if you haven't got the vaccination, you don't want it. So I don't know what's going on.
Another thing I don't understand is like with we don't have to go down this road, obviously, but like,
no, why not?
The mask mandates lifted. And I mean, I don't know about where you guys live, but around here, like, I mean, I go to stores, Costco, Walmart, and I'm not wearing a mask, but like 90% of people are still wearing these masks. Like at what point do they put them down and say, all right, I'm done with this? It's like crazy to me that people are clinging on to these masks. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is funny. Like the Walmart idea is good, DC. Like actually, honestly, I think going to Walmart like might be, if I didn't have anything to do tonight, like I think that would be on my list of things to do because that would be entertaining to watch.
I like walking around Walmart, man. This is America. Come on, no mask. It's a good time.
There probably will be a fight that breaks out at a bunch of Walmart.
Yeah, you never know what you're gonna find. It's good time at Walmart. People were coming after me on Twitter about going to Walmart just to casually shop, and I don't understand. They got a lot of good stuff there.
DC has no plans this weekend, but you might catch him randomly on Periscope on Twitter.com at Walmart finding a fight going on or something like that. So, but that'll wrap it up for that. Let's talk about the slate. People don't want to hear about that much. Maybe we'll touch on a little bit of baseball at the end if we got the time to. But we will talk about the baseball slate. And again, a lot of bad weather. It feels like it's one of those. I know we're like almost in June, but it feels like one of those days. And DC kind of hinted at it that the scoring is going to be a bit low. So DC, does that change your plan of attack on this slate? Are you are you thinking of maybe stacking up more? Are you maybe going for more mini stacks? How are you kind of approaching it with the weather being a little bit cooler today?
Yeah, good question. One that I don't have an exact answer to. So I think, it's going to limit our options. And it wasn't the greatest pitching slate to begin with. We might get a couple of the top options wiped off the board. And frankly, there's not very many good hitting environments. Like oftentimes the best hitting environments are on the East Coast when it's warm, or in the Midwest when it's warm. With those games off the slate, basically for offense, most of these games out West have just kind of neutral hitting environments at best. So it's tough. I think it's going to be a low scoring offensive slate, despite there not being that many good pitchers on the slate. It's kind of a weird conundrum that way. So I'm not sure in terms of lineup construction where I go. I only see really, 4 or 5 pitchers I'd be willing to use kind of at most, depending on, if the Atlanta game ends up playing. I think Ian Anderson's a pretty good option, but it's tough. I think when we go through this position by position, we'll be scraping a little bit to find a lot of players that we like at each position. It just seems like one of those slates to me.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting to see how it all breaks down. Hoop, I'll go to you. Are you approaching it different? I feel like on a slate the other day, I heard you kind of say on these slates where it's a little bit tougher, you'd rather lean to just like the stack and try and fall into the good game rather than try and pick your spots here and there. How does that change things for you?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's different in their approach, and there's no saying what's right or wrong. But I'm in general typically a stacker when I build my teams. Even in cash games, I kind of lean toward stacking a little bit. And on these slates where there's not a ton that stands out from an offensive standpoint, I still like to stack and hope I kind of hit on that team that gets the 10 runs. So that's typically my approach. Now on a slate like tonight, to me, the most important part is what we talked about in the opening. Not only do we have these rain games that are going to be washed out, most likely, we have cool weather around the country. And, we know at this point, it's no secret, and when the weather's colder, it's not great for offense. And even though I think there are 4 or 5 offenses in pretty good spots tonight, I want to prioritize pitching tonight. It's kind of been the trend anyway this MLB season. Like the pitchers are having these big outputs, the offense kind of lacking a little bit. Started to see that turn a little bit with the warmer weather. Well, now tonight specifically, it seems like there's this cold front throughout the entire country. The weather's The temperatures have dropped essentially, and they're dealing with weather on top of it. So that kind of makes me lean towards prioritizing pitcher over anything else tonight.
I think that's probably the right approach, right? Because we think we're going to see fewer points from the hitters, from offense. Some slates we talk about where we don't think the slate is going to be won at starting pitcher. This slate, I think it might be, right? You're going to need to hit on both your starting pitchers, I think, tonight. Like if you bust on one of those guys in DraftKings or both guys, I think it's going to be hard to get the fantasy points from your hitters to make up for that. So I think that's a good point that you really do need to hit on those starting pitchers. And I mean, I think a lot of people might have that similar approach. And I do think that's going to lead to some pretty massive Garrett Cole ownership, right? Like everything points to Garrett Cole here. He's just head and shoulders above the field in terms of talent. The matchup is perfect. The weather is perfect. And there's not that many good hitting spots that you really want to it's not like we got the Dodgers at Coors Field where we got a bunch of 6K bats we want to fit in. I think people will prioritize spending their salary cap towards Garrett Cole, which seems like the right move, but you can get to a point where if enough people do it in a tournament, maybe you would try to look somewhere else.
Yeah, and we got a guy named Travis Duarte. He says, is Cole going to be a trap tonight? I don't think Cole's a trap at all. No. I think Cole's one of the best pitchers on the slate. Is he the guy to prioritize, though, DC? Like, would you rather go Walker Buehler against a San Francisco team that's not one that we've been targeting a ton this year? And then we also have Ian Anderson at the top, who you can make an argument for, right? But the weather is kind of a disaster as well. So is Cole clear-cut the number one today?
I think he is. Yeah. I mean, he's just a much better pitcher than Walker Buehler. As good as Walker Buehler is, Cole's a step above him, and the matchup is much better. Just a way better pitching environment. I mean, this Detroit Tigers team, they just don't have very many major league caliber hitters, really. I know they've been swinging it a little bit better against righties over the past couple of weeks, but this is just still a tremendous, tremendous spot for Garrett Cole. I expect him to mow this team down, with little to no opposition, basically. This seems like a pretty easy double-digit strikeout game for me for Cole coming here. I don't think, given the weather and the size of the ballpark in Detroit, it's going to be really hard for them to, get a rare 3-run home run off Cole, right? Sometimes that can happen. I don't see it happening tonight in Detroit in that weather with this group of hitters from Detroit who don't have a lot of power anyway. So just seems like a super safe and high upside spot for Garrett Cole where, Walker Buehler could match him, but it seems like Walker Buehler's ceiling almost is kind of equal to Garrett Cole's floor to me. So I think he is a priority play. Ian Anderson, great play too. I mean, we've seen pitcher after pitcher mow down the New York Mets recently with their horrible lineup that they're rolling out. Again, we're going to have to pay attention to the weather in New York. I think, like Hoop said, it's probably more likely than not that it gets rained out, but if it does play, a great spot for Ian Anderson. I mean, lesser pitchers than him have put up great games against the Mets, so I would expect him to pitch really well if indeed that game does play.
Yeah, I mean, if that game plays, I'm definitely interested in Ian Anderson. And I do think there's a case to be made to be going double barrel at the top of pitcher who, especially in cash games. I think Garrett Cole, I don't, you're on the NBA cash chart stuff. I'm on the MLB. I mean, I'm pretty sure you would have Cole on there as your number one. He's my number one on there right now.
He has to be number one on the cash chart. He just has to be. There's no other. Yeah.
It's a must, I think. Unless the weather, we got Hoop on boots on the ground in Detroit, unless somehow there's a hailstorm that comes through. But live reporting that.
Yeah, I'll live report the weather. But I mean, as it stands now, I mean, it's perfect pitching conditions. I mean, the wind's blowing out. I guess that's literally the only drawback, but it's blowing out to right center, which is like the biggest part of that ballpark. So I'm not concerned at all. It's the best possible matchup. The weather is in his favor. I mean, clear cut. Number one, double barrel pay up makes a ton of sense. I mean, you can do it. We're already getting our cheap bats that we need to make it happen. Our boy Andrew Vaughn, who for some reason DraftKings refuses to move his price from 2.5K. He's been like 2.5K for a month straight.
They have like some special rule where he's only allowed to go up $100 every week.
Yeah, he started
100. Like it's literally been like from when he was like a hero for us and got us a dong. I think he was 2K, and he's like been like 2,100. 2,200.
Yeah. So, I mean, we got him. We have other cheap guys in good spots that we'll talk about. So, I mean, paying up for 2 spots is going to be easy to do so if you want to go that route. I agree that the Ian Anderson, if that game plays, yeah, but I don't think there's a chance that game plays. I mean, I think that's the next one that gets whacked out here. I mean, it's
agreed.
I think it's currently raining, and it's supposed to literally, it's like 100% chance of rain all night. I just don't see it happening. So I don't even want to go too deep. I mean, Ryu, I kind of like, but again, that's another situation where there's going to be weather there. I mean, it looks like decent. Now, this isn't as bad as those other spots, and it sounds like it could be a situation where they just play through some light rain.
The fact that they're playing this early game, like, it seems like the weather's going to get better throughout the day. So it makes me think that game probably will end up playing. Yeah,
so I like him a little bit. You know, Otani, I think you can look at 7.8K for him. I don't know. It's just, again, I mean, I typically keep my player pool pretty small. If I'm just, I mean, the price on Cole is just bad, 11-2. Like, it's just easy to play him. Like, in this matchup against Detroit, he should be much more expensive. He's just underpriced to me. You got Walker Buehler right there as well. I mean, I'm only, even if I was MMEing, which I'm not tonight, if I was going to MME, I'd only have like 4 or 5 guys in my player pool. I'd really focus in on these guys: Cole, Buehler, you know, Ryu, if we think that game's fine, maybe a little bit of Otani. I'm just not going to play a lot of these guys tonight, and you know, I feel pretty good about it. So it's going to be a small player pool for me, with Garrett Cole most likely just being a lock button play. I'd play him and then, you know, pair him up with those other guys.
Yep, I think that makes sense. If you guys could please hit that like, hit that subscribe on the video, helps us out a ton. We got 350 of you watching. Let's get those likes up. Also want to talk about the podcast that we have over here at Run Pure Sports. And what do you know? We have the podcast host Draft Cheat with us. So DC, tell the people a little bit about this. You go Monday through Friday. Tell the people a little bit about the podcast.
What a coincidence. The podcast host here on the baseball show. Yeah. Monday through Friday on the MLB First Look podcast in your inbox first thing in the morning. I know a lot of people have reached out to me that they like it. You know, they listen to it on their commute to work, whatever, get some a preview of every game, every position. I've been hearing a lot of people telling me that they prefer the position by position podcast, which I did with Uncle T last night, compared to the game by game. So yeah, I mean, it's obviously for the people. So if you got an opinion on that, feel free to reach out to me in DMs or on Discord if you're a member or whatever. But yeah, I think it's a good start for a lot of people to get started on their MLB research. And, you know, usually it's just kind of a game preview, but oftentimes we'll kind of dive into some more, you know, advanced analytics that we might not have time to talk about on this show and stuff like that. So check it out. If you're looking for more baseball content, I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I love it. I listened to it. What day was it? The other day when I was cutting the grass. Perfect length, perfect timing. Like I got the front cut, the back cut, and the pod finished out. Literally perfect. Perfect yard work podcast.
There you go. You'll love to see it. Also, if you do like the podcast, right? You say you like the game by game better, go get a 5-star review on it for us and say, hey, like the game by game has been great. Awesome podcast. We appreciate that a ton. We also got someone in the chat, Dark Lures. He says, I can't tell if Mango is freezing up or if he's posing for a photo shoot. Listen, I only do photo shoots on Big T's workbench. That's the only spot where I'm giving a nice little photo shoot action. But no, I'm freezing up a little bit. The internet, if I chop out here and there, you know, we'll get it fixed in a couple days. But just try to, if anything happens, I'll jump back in and just bear with me.
I'd ask you for more details about these photo shoots on Big T's workbench that you're talking about, but it might not be appropriate for the free show here on YouTube. So maybe
that might have to be a premium show. I have not released the photos yet. I figured there'll be a time and place to maybe post it, but not yet. I figured there'd be some time where it'll be useful. So we'll have to wait and see whenever that time comes. You'll know when it's right? It'll feel good. So I also want to talk about the members never winning, right, over at Run Pure Sports. People say they never win, but if you do get a nice little win, be sure to post it on Instagram, tag us there, post it on Twitter. There's tons of wins always in the Discord chat and people talking about it and people staking people too. I know you love that hoop, how people are always staking people in the chat. So tell people about the Discord and some of the stuff going on there, Hoop.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of good stuff going on. I mean, conversations, every sport, all throughout the day, all hours. I mean, you can find guys in the middle of the night in there chatting up whatever sport, you know, you want to talk about. So tons of stuff going on there. You can ask questions to our coordinators, reach out directly, ask specific questions. It's just a good community feel there. Like Mangone said, a lot of people, become so close where they start staking other members in tournaments and stuff. Just a very good community feel there. So it's a part of the premium product. We got that promo code going. RPS Heater 25, you get 25% off your first payment of a monthly package over at Rumpier Sports.
Yep, you can use that code RPS Heater 25 again, 25% off, or you can use the Get Bets code and get the bet side for free. So,
and I do keep talking about this, but I continue to see it from these other sites where they're literally charging the same amount we charge for one sport, like their baseball product, $80 a month or $70 a month for just baseball. Like $80 on our site, you get absolutely every sport covered: MMA, tennis, NASCAR, everything for 80. These other sites charge like 80 for one sport. The guy the other day comes out and says, "Oh, for the rest of baseball season, I'm cutting a deal to people. $280 for the whole season or 70 for the month just for baseball." Shocking stuff.
No, I'm with you. And if you're watching and you're saying, "Oh, I'm sick of these guys talking about it, just get on to the baseball." Well, listen, I'm that good of a host that I planned this out perfectly. I waited for this game to be postponed. We got the Mets and Braves postponed, and we talked about liking the pitchers at the top. That takes out one of the pitchers at the top, right? So don't worry, guys. It all works out accordingly. DC, no Ian Anderson on the plate now, on the slate now, right? So what are you doing here? I mean, we have to talk about some other cheaper pitchers. We can't really just look at the top three and kind of move on. And I'm not saying we were going to do that, but there's other guys you have to look at. There's Sean Manaea against a Angels team that has not been the best that I think you can consider. There's Ohtani, which if you watch JT's Bang Bang Plays, which is over a nice little free video over on our YouTube channel here, he talked about how Ohtani was scratched because there was traffic on the bridge. Ohtani was fine. It wasn't because his shoulder was acting up. So you can make an argument going to Ohtani would not be the worst idea. There are options that you can go to, and I think we have to consider them more with Ian Anderson officially off the slate, DC.
Yeah, we talked a lot about Ohtani last night, or I did, where we just don't know what we're going to see from him because last start, his velocity was just way, way down on all his pitches, 5-6 miles per hour. You never, ever see that, without basically the pitcher ending up being injured. Now, he didn't finish the game, but he, threw his kind of normal. I think he threw 70, 80 pitches in that game. Results were okay. Underlying metrics, not so good. And normally I would be nervous enough about him going forward that not because he was scratched yesterday. I think the bridge story thing is true. I don't have any doubts about that, but I was just nervous about him yesterday. I have the same thoughts about him today. So apologies if you were, listening to the show yesterday, because I'm kind of saying the same thing, but I just don't know which version of Ohtani is going to show up. There's no way to know if he's on his game, if his velocity is back up. He has as much upside as anyone on this slate outside of Garrett Cole. If he's broken again and he can't throw higher than 92 on the fastball, I think Oakland could absolutely rough him up and get into that bullpen early. So I kind of like playing both sides of that. Obviously not in the same lineup. Manaea, I think, is okay, as you mentioned. I think I prefer Ryu over Manaea. He feels a little bit safer to me, assuming, again, that that Toronto-Cleveland game plays. And there's really not a lot else that I'm willing to play. Obviously, we lost. We're going to lose, probably 8 pitchers due to the weather. 2 cheap guys that I'm willing to roll the dice on, if you want to get an expensive stack or whatever it is. I haven't rostered him all year, but Dallas Keuchel at home against Baltimore in a game he should be pretty big favorite. He is pretty big favorite in. Baltimore has a really low total. Again, you're not going to get very many strikeouts out of Dallas Keuchel, but he's going to give you 100 pitches. He'll probably give you 6 innings here. Good chance at a win. So you're looking for 15 to 20 fantasy points. I think he's got a decent chance to do it. The other guy that I'm looking at is Randy Dobnak for the Twins. Again, kind of like a right-handed Keuchel, a really high ground ball rate. He's going to throw a lot of strikes, good defense behind him. He's a big favorite in this game, and he's 5,800. So again, I think his strikeout prop is 3.5. So that's the kind of pitcher he is. I do think he'll go over that, but he's just going to pound the strike zone and get a bunch of ground balls. You hope they go to the fielders, and he can give you 6 or 7 innings. Probably be a pretty good play at 5,800 if he's able to do that, which I think there's a good chance he will. So those are the cheap guys, but it's slim pickings. I guess one more guy. I do think Casey Mize is in play against the Yankees. Not the same Yankees lineup we've seen. Mize does have more strikeout upside than either Keuchel or Dobnak. I don't think he's quite as safe as those guys, right? I mean, New York still does have some big bats, and things could go wrong for Mize. But I think he's got at least some decent strikeout upside here, and he's looked better these last 2 starts. Former number 1 overall pick. I've never been a huge fan of him so far, but I do think he's making some strides forward right now.
All right. We got something in the chat. They're asking about the podcast. He said, what is the podcast called? If you look up Run Pure Sports, you can find it, but it's called The First Look One. But if you just type in Run Pure Sports, DC, that's the best way to access that, correct?
Yeah. You should find it pretty easily after that.
Yep, best way. And then I did want to mention, we had 3 birthdays this week. We had JT's birthday. We had Steve's, Steve Boyton. I may say his name wrong. I might be butchering it, but Steve's birthday. He's excited about that. He's turning 33. He said he was going to crush 33 beers over the weekend, but our boy G Risen, it's his birthday today. So be sure to follow his FanDuel core and hoop. I got to ask you, we got people in the chat, 17.5 Modelo's on G Risen's birthday.
Over. I want Max. I want Max bet on over.
So what?
And that's
what is the number you would say he crushes? Like, don't not set the line, but like, what is the number you think he hits? Well, what is it?
I mean, I would honestly, and this is no joke, because I've had drinks with G Risen on many occasions. I would, no joke, set the over under at probably a full case of beer. I'd say 24 is the legit over under, and that's no exaggeration. This G Risen knows how to freaking drink. I will give him credit. Happy birthday. And that over under is 24, and I'm willing to. I got the over.
I gotta clarify something about our boy Steve Boyton. I believe he said in the Discord that his goal was 33 beers a day for the entire weekend.
A day? I thought it was just over the weekend.
That's what I read. Well, maybe you're right, because I remember just feeling astonished when I read that. Now I like to enjoy an adult beverage myself as well, but 33 a day for 3 days in a row, I would be severely hurt on Monday morning if I tried to do that.
That's a tough pace. Like you can put in some work and really go hard for a day and get there, but 3 days in a row, that's a tough pace to keep up with.
I don't think he's doing that, but I have a buddy who I'm
going to look it up.
He's training to, on his, like, I think it's June 6th is his birthday. He's going to drink 30 in one day. And he's like been like not practicing, but like making sure he's like up and up. And he says that he has certain days where he goes hard and others, but he has at least 6 a day to make sure like he's like prepping himself. Then other days he goes up higher. And then of course that last day he'll just go all the way. But I think it's a tough task.
I have the quote right here from our coordinator's chat from Mr. Steve Boyne. He said, someone said happy birthday. A bunch of guys say happy birthday. He says, thanks guys. The big 33. Going to celebrate with a goal of 33 beers a day through Monday.
Wow.
33 a day through Monday? That is, we got to hear about
that. Does that mean including Monday? I guess it probably does. Yeah.
That's a big number. I mean, you got to be on the Michelob Ultras, I'd assume. I mean, you can't.
I would assume he's not watching the show because, there's just no way. It's 3 o'clock on a Saturday. That means he's what, like probably 15, 16 deep at the moment. So,
listen, that's tough. I'm not a big beer drinker. That'd be a lot to consume for sure. So
yeah, I'd take the under on you taking 33 down in a weekend, man. Going.
Oh yeah, I don't know if I wouldn't want to. It wouldn't taste good. I don't love the taste of it. So.
Man, go and be drunk dead on 33.
If you told me I had to, like for money, like I'll make sure to find a way to get it done. I mean, it won't be pretty, but I'll get it done for you. Don't worry.
Mangone's got a better chance of 33 Red Bulls.
Hey, actually, I don't know. 33, I might die. 33 is a lot in a weekend for sure. But man, that would be fun to try for sure. Man, I can't wait to hear about the story from it. So I'm sure Steve will talk about it with DC on the podcast. What day is Steve on, DC? You have it pretty much.
I hope it's late in the week because he's going to.
Oh, well, we'll have to check.
I'm pretty sure it's not Monday night, so I don't know. Maybe
if it's Monday night, he might need a cover. I would have to say.
Yeah, I would think so. We could have like the Siege redo, where we get on the podcast. You're talking about the wrong sports. That could be a good one.
Oh man, that was a good one. That was a good laugh. Oh man, too good. But Hoop, we'll go to you. I mean, there are some other cheap options that we kind of have to like look at right now. Of course, you can go the Bueller and the Cole route. But I mean, with Anderson off the slate, I mean, you have to consider some of these other guys, and you don't only play some cash games, you play some tournaments too.
Yeah.
So who are some of these other pitchers you're looking at? Below?
Assuming we get a good weather report in Cleveland, Ryu would be the next guy I kind of look at. I think Manet's in the conversation. The last guy that DC talked about is one that I have a lot of interest in, specifically in tournaments, Casey Mize. I mean, a lot of people are obviously going to be playing Cole on the other side, but Mize has been pretty good. And like DC said, I mean, it's not the same Yankees lineup that he'll be facing, and he gets the benefit of the nice pitching weather tonight too. So Mize is a guy I have a lot of interest in as well. Ohtani, I think, good for tournaments. Obviously, if he's fully going, like a ton of strikeout upside.
Yep.
So those would be the 5 or 6 guys, or the additional 4 with the 2 up top that I'm going to be looking at tonight.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. If I'm looking down at some of these guys, I don't hate the Ohtani in tournaments. I think you could take the shot in. I know I talked about it a little bit before. DC, are there any other like gems down here? Like, I mean, it's gross, right? But we have some, like, Seattle has a humidor in it. I don't think I can get behind a Jordan Lyles. I mean, there's just some bad pitchers down there. I know Hoop just mentioned Mize, and the Yankees, you can make an argument that, like, the Yankees have strikeout upside, right? Like, they can hit like home runs with the best of them, but they can swing and miss with the best of them at times. So what'd you think of Mize at that 6.7K tag?
Yeah, I like him. He's got upside for sure. Not safe, but more upside than the other guys that I talked about. So yeah, Keuchel and then Randy Dobnak, I think, is, if you're really punting, he's my guy. I think he'll be solid. You're not hoping, you shouldn't be hoping for 25, 30 fantasy points out of him, but I think he's got a pretty damn good shot to give you 15, which at 5,800 on the slate, it might be enough.
Yeah, for sure. We got someone getting on. I don't know if it's on me or one of you guys for the Manaya or Manet. I don't know.
It's probably me. I said Manet. Is that wrong?
Yeah, they're saying you're JT Hayes in it, basically.
Yeah.
I think it's Manaya, correct, DC? Would that be the?
You got it, Manaya. Yep.
Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. Close. Hey, you knew who I was talking about, so obviously it was close enough.
We're going to count that as a win here. We set a low bar at Run Pure Sports.
Yeah. For one, we're not paid to pronounce them right, and second, this is not even a paid show. It's free, right? So again, hit the like, hit the subscribe. We're free almost every day, I'd say, with MLB, NBA, NASCAR, MMA, all the different sports. We have it all for you here over at Run Pure Sports. If you do want to sign up and check out all the good stuff, we have the core plays, the playbook, the premium shows with JSU, Big T, Hoop, me. We all jump on it. DC. If you want to check those out, use that code RPS Heater 25. Sign up and get 25% off. And you can check out the premium show that starts at 5:30. But DC, give me your final pitcher rankings, and then we'll move on over. Give me your 3 to 5 pitchers that you're looking at on the slate.
Yeah, Cole, clearly number 1 for me. In terms of where I'll probably end up on my own lineups, I think I'll have probably Dobnak in my second lineup as my SP2, probably in my main lineup. And then I would say Buehler, Ryu, Mize, those 5, and then Ohtani, I guess I'll throw in there too.
All right, Hoop, give me yours. I think it's easy. It's Cole and Buehler, 1 and 2 I got. And then who do you got after that, Hoop?
Ryu, and then I like Casey Mize actually. More obviously tournaments. I don't think you can really play him in cash games, but probably Ryu, Mize, and then Manaya. Is that better? Whoever was bitching in the chat.
Yep. Manaya, it is. DC, I'll ask you this question while we're on that topic, because I think it's interesting. How do you take it? Like, he played against the Angels not too long ago, right? So we're going to see a lot of these Angels going against the A's, same pitchers, because they pitched kind of recently. Do you give that as like a bump down to them and like really lean on the hitting more when that happens? Because that's something I saw yesterday, right? And I was like, okay, Sandoval just pitched, and now he's going up against the A's, and the A's got to the bullpen. That's another reason why I didn't mind attacking the Angels. The bullpen's bad, but they didn't get the Sandoval like I hoped. So do you think that Manaya is going to be fine here?
Well, I can tell you didn't listen to my podcast this morning, Travis, which is very hurtful, because I did talk about this exact issue with the one and only Uncle T on the podcast. And actually, I think you'll hear a lot of, DFS people, and I've said it in the past too, say that, pitcher going against the same offense 2 starts in a row, advantage offense. The research, I didn't do the research, but someone did the research, did all the data, and actually shows, if anything, the pitcher has a slight advantage or no advantage at all, which I think is kind of counterintuitive, it seems like, but that's what the numbers show. So I guess for now, at least, that's kind of what I'll go with, given these kind of rare circumstances where a pitcher does face the same offense 2 starts in a row.
I mean, DC, maybe I did listen. I'm just tossing you a nice little alley-oop.
No,
I
that
mean,
could be. That could be.
You're thinking the worst of me.
You're
Maybe
right. You're right. That was a
I'm
little aggressive of me to presume, and I apologize, sir.
I'm just D-Wade just tossing it behind, and you're out there just dunking it home. I'm trying to make it look good. I'm trying to be, Rondo. I'm trying to make my team look good. I don't need to be.
I'm just always, I'm always thinking people are coming after me, playing the victim over here. So it's just
that's
how
the
I
hot-headed
go
weasel in you. So there you go. But let's move on and talk about the hitters. We got Mr. Mercedes up here at the top. I can't ignore him. I can't ignore Grandal because it's Matt Harvey, and Matt Harvey sucks, but that weather's not the best. Typically catcher's tough for me to give analysis on at like 4:30 because, hey, like I always like the punt catcher. And it's like, I kind of wait for one to pop up that's cheaper. Hoop, I'll go to you. Like I said, I'm team punt the catchers as much as possible. I mean, you have Jorge Alfaro at 3K. You could make a case for him against Perez. I mean, I'm not someone that likes to stack against Perez, but I think taking one-offs here and there is not the worst. But I do like spending up. But the problem is we got pitchers we want to spend on. So what are you doing with the catcher position, Hoop?
Yeah, it's tough because I'm with you. I typically like to go cheap at catcher. I believe it was yesterday where we kind of went through and we're most likely looking to spend up at catcher, which I thought was a move yesterday. I kind of think it's the move again today because we have some guys in really good spots. I mean, our boy Mercedes just continues to pound, and we liked him yesterday. He hit the bomb. Did he have 1 or 2? 1 bomb, right?
He had 1 bomb, but I think he also got like an RBI later in the game.
Yeah, he had a good big game for us. So, I mean, I have no problem going right back to him. You got Grandal batting second. He's a really good play. And then Mitch Garver, cleanup for the Twins, who really like the Twins tonight. I really like their lineup. I like how they put their lineup together today. But Garver batting fourth, like I think all 3 of those guys, very, very strong options. Now, if you want to punt, I'm always fine punting catcher. As it stands now with the lineups we have out, there's really nothing that stands out as a decent punt. You mentioned Alfaro. I think that game gets rained out, though, in Boston. I think that's the next one to fall off this slate. So we're really dealing with, a smaller number of games and potential punt options. But, yeah, I mean, I think those 3 guys are very strong spends. I mean, Garver's not even all that expensive. I mean, Garver at 4.3, he's not all the way up there at the 5K range. So if I can make it work with one of these 3 guys, I'm going to. If not, I'm going to wait and see what happens with these lineups and then just punt it off, to be honest. But I kind of want to spend here today, actually.
All right, Hoop going up and spending instead. I mentioned Alfaro. DC, you won't hear me mention every Miami player and fight you like the last time Boston had some weather. I was right, though. I'm going to mention that. I was right. That game didn't rain out, but I don't.
We're taking a victory lap from a month ago about a rain delay.
Why not? I mean, why not take a victory lap? I'm the host. I can take it whenever I want to. So it's that easy to do. But I will ask you a question about Mercedes, right? He's been absolutely crushing it. I think you're going to want to spend a bit catcher too, but Sean B said, Carson Kelly, is he a nice pivot? Because I think some people are going to be on the Arizona bats. What do you say?
Yeah, Kelly's okay. For me, Garver looks like kind of the clear-cut number 1 option, I think. Regardless of price, I would take him over the Chicago guys. If they were all priced at 5K, Garver would be my choice among those 3. 2 things Garver does really well when he's hitting well, and he is right now. He's gone back to his 2019 self. He kills lefties and he kills fastballs. And Bubic, he kind of lives off of laying off of any pitches outside of the zone, any breaking balls, and making a pitcher come in with a fastball, and then he just murders those pitches. And he should be able to do that, I think, against Bubic, because Bubic's throwing 58% fastballs to right-handed hitters. He's walking 3 or 4 guys a game, so you can tell he doesn't have the best command. He does fall behind hitters, and he's going to have to come in with those fastballs to Garver. And I really, really like Garver's chances to jump on one of those and go yard. And then, it's the 2 White Sox guys, Mercedes and Grandal. Knowing that it might come down to this, and I was on the playbook today. That's already up, by the way. So we've made a little change. We're going to get that up earlier for you guys. And you got to rank, the players at every position. So I kind of knew between Grandal and Mercedes, it's kind of a tough call. 2 catchers in the same game. So I did dig into, versus all the pitch types that Harvey throws and the how these guys do against the pitch types and stuff. And I do feel pretty confident that, if you ran this simulation 100 times, Grandal would be the better play over Mercedes. So I do have Grandal above Mercedes. I feel pretty good about that after digging into it. But Garver, the clear one for me, and a priority basically to get Garver or Grandal into my lineups. At this point, I'm pretty sure those two guys will make up the entirety of my catcher pool, no matter how many lineups I play.
Yep, I think that makes sense. And listen, it's a show where the White Sox are on the slate, so I have to talk about it. We got some news on them. Mr. Andrew Vaughn, and this is your chance to take a little bit of a victory lap, DC. He's batting third. I mean, you've been on this guy from the start. He's batting third.
Yeah,
so
Jude crushes. He's been even been unlucky, I think, over the course of these last few weeks. If you watch him hit, I mean, a lot of hard contact, right? A lot of like hard line outs the opposite way. He just looks like a great hitter. So finally, old Boomer La Russa, it took him a while to first get him in the lineup in the first place. Then he hit him seventh for a while. Now he's up to third, and maybe DraftKings will change their algorithm and we'll get a 3K plus Andrew Vaughn sometime in the next 2 weeks. Maybe. Hoop shaking your head. You don't think so?
4th of July weekend.
that is how it goes, right? 5 weeks, I would say. That makes some sense. $100 a week. So
that lineup looking even better. Tim Anderson back in there. He's missed the last couple of days. You've got Vaughn up to third. Love Grandal, Abreu. Jake Lamb, I think, is a pretty good play against Harvey as well. So that White Sox lineup looking pretty spicy, and following along with the weather, it's looking better in Chicago.
Yeah.
I don't, miserable right now, but I think by the time this game starts, it's kind of almost going to seem like when you're out there to the players, like, oh, it's clearing up. We're ready to play ball. So this White Sox stack growing on me a little bit as we go along.
Yep, for sure. Hoop, let's kick it over to you and let's talk about the first base position. I mean, again, a White Sox he can play is Jose Abreu, right? But I don't know how much owned he'll be today. Maybe he does get some ownership. Maybe he doesn't. You can obviously go with a lefty on the mound. We can go with a Miguel Sano, right? I mean, he is a power bat, but he can swing and miss with the best of them at times. But Hoop, what are you doing at the first base position?
Yeah, first base. We have some options here. Abreu, I think, is clear. I mean, the White Sox lineup's very strong, like DC pointed to. Like this is a very good lineup. I mean, at least these first top 6 guys all have pretty substantial power. So you want power bats against Matt Harvey. So this stack I was on, but now that this lineup came out, I like him a little bit more. Yeah. So obviously Abreu, very, very solid option. Sano. Alex Kirilloff for the Twins batting 5th. He's 4.1K. You can also play him in the outfield. He's another guy I'm looking at. But Andrew Vaughn at 2.5K stands out as just a phenomenal value. I mean, we brought up his name a few times now already, but 2.5K against Matt Harvey, tough to pass up on. So you can play at first base or outfield, so you can kind of manipulate your lineups a little bit. And then Paul Goldschmidt, only 3.9K. against Madison Bumgarner tonight. I think he is another strong option. So outfield or first base is a pretty loaded position. We have guys kind of in every price tier that we can pick from. We've got Abreu all the way up top. We got Goldschmidt in the middle. We got Kirilloff in the middle. We have Sano in the middle. And then you have Andrew Vaughn all the way down at 2.5K if you want to save money at the position. So for me, I'm looking at, those 5 or 6 guys, and I think they're all really, really strong options tonight. So it's a loaded position for me.
Yeah. All right. One thing that gets me in the chat, everyone always does it. I'm like 15 minutes away from the park, so I know the weather. It's like we can't pull up weather. Like, so he says it's gonna be 35 degrees in that White Sox game. It literally says it's 48 now in Chicago, and it's gonna go up to 51 during the game. So unless you got something top secret that I don't know about, I don't know. But maybe you're talking about a different park. No clue.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely not ideal baseball weather. And that's what we talked. We spent like 10 minutes talking about it in the opening. There's no spot that has ideal baseball weather today. 35, 48. It doesn't matter. It's going to be chilly in this game. And we've already covered that for quite some time.
Yeah. And speaking of, there's not ideal weather everywhere except one spot, which you can make a case, but I never know how to really handle it. It's that Arizona game, right? I believe the roof will be open, I think, for this game.
It will be,
Yeah. So with the roof being open in that game, DC, you got Paul Goldschmidt. He's an awesome option. He's too cheap at 3.9. Is he someone you're going to look at the first base position?
He has to be. I mean, I listed him number one in the playbook. My top first baseman today. He's got a lot of things going for him. One, you mentioned the weather, 100 degrees with the roof open in Arizona at game time. There's some data that says like the doesn't matter much if the roof is open or not, but it's just hard to believe, like I don't know. I'd still prefer it to be 100 degrees there. A couple other things. One, Goldschmidt has historically just crushed lefties, right? Like every single year, he's way better against lefties. Bumgarner, obviously, he's kind of a prototypical lefty himself, in that he's much better against lefties than righties over the course of his career. That's a great factor. Paul Goldschmidt also, if you look back at his career in Arizona, he was way better at home. He obviously played most of his career at Arizona. He was way better at home than he was on the road when he was a member of the Diamondbacks. This game obviously back in Arizona. So he's got that going for him. And then he's, we're not big BVP guys on the show, but he's crushed Bumgarner. He's got an OPS over 1,000. Goldschmidt, yes, was a better hitter back then than he is now. But Bumgarner was also a better pitcher, right? Like most of these at-bats kind of took place in the middle of their primes. They're both a little bit post-prime right now, but kind of at the same level, right? So this just looks like advantage Goldschmidt all over the place here. So I love Goldschmidt. The Cardinals, my top stack in general. Bumgarner is improved this year for sure from what we've seen over the last couple of years, but this is still a great spot for the Arizona bats. So Goldschmidt, my number one. Obviously up top, Jose Abreu. You can't go wrong there against Matt Harvey. I like Max Muncy. Desclafani just got crushed by the Dodgers last start. I think that could happen again. Muncy, I would expect to play a pretty big role there if that does indeed go down. And then give me Sano over Alex Kirilloff. I've been a huge Kirilloff guy over these last few weeks since he's been called up. But, man, he looks really, really bad against left-handed pitching. Like, just looks hopeless most of his at-bats. And Miguel Sano just on fire right now. I think he's got something like 7 home runs in his last 12 games. Crushes lefties. Again, kind of like the Mitch Garver thing. When Sano's on, it's because he's laying off pitches outside of the zone, gets a fastball, and he knows what to do with it. So really like Miguel Sano in that Twins game as well.
Yep, I'm with you on that. Isaac says, can we talk baseball, guys? We've been talking baseball. You must have just hopped in. So hit that like and hit that subscribe, Isaac. Again, helps us out a ton. So we want to, be giving you guys this free content all the time. But Hoop, I'm going to go to you because I want to talk some baseball. I want to talk some second base. I want to talk some Max Muncy. Is he a guy that you would spend on today? The problem is, we want to spend a bit pitcher, and you said you wanted to spend at catcher and second base position. Hoop, we really got to look to maybe spend down here, I think.
This Isaac Dominguez guy, can we talk baseball, guys? Come on, even Hoop is getting mad. Hoop is not getting mad. What would Hoop be getting mad about? Like, this show's great. If you want like a boring statistical analysis, breakdown, all that shit, like go somewhere else. Like you're gonna get baseball talk. You're gonna get some, jokes and some other conversations along the way. That's what you get here at Run Pure Sports. Those other places, if you want all the swinging strike rates and all. DC will throw that stuff in there a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like you're throwing some shade at me, Hoop. You don't like my presentation over here?
we like the thing is we like your balance. You'll go at someone on Twitter and try and box them, and then you'll also give us the stats too. So it's a great balance. You're on either side, and it just meets in the middle perfectly.
Yeah, the versatility. The versatility of DC's game. That's his strongest point for sure. In regards to second base, I'm kind of almost treating this as my catcher position tonight because it's just not. It's not a great spot, and there's really not many options that I find to be all that appealing. We don't have a lot of these lineups out yet, so maybe that changes. If a guy like Josh Rojas gets a good lineup spot, he's 3.6K. I'd be looking to him. They've kind of moved him all around the lineup. He's batted at the top, he's batted towards the bottom, so I'm very curious to see where he's at. If he gets a good lineup spot, in cash games, he's a guy to consider. It might not even matter in tournaments. In tournaments, even if he's at the bottom, I think he would be a fine option. Tommy Edman, if he is in that leadoff spot, 4.8K, he's the guy that you're going to want to pay up for. There's not much more that stands out to me at this position. Like I said, I'm almost going to be treating this position like catcher today. Most likely going to be punting it off. If I have the money for Edman, I'm probably going to go there. If Rojas gets a good lineup spot, I think he's definitely got to consider in cash games. After that, really not too much else is going to be standing out to me at second base today.
Yeah, second base is not the best. We got Landon in the chat saying he doesn't want my BSing. Lando, watch out. I'm the host. I can control this. I took my victory lap where I wanted. I can do whatever I want. So don't get the host upset here. I'll just get all the statistical analysis. I'll even get Hoop out there tossing some numbers and simulations at the people.
You don't want that. Lando, man. We're boys. Mangone, you can't give Mangone shit. Mangone's the man.
Oh man, could you imagine Hoop starting a sentence off with like, my simulation says second base, 950 times out of 1,000, you should be punting the second base position. That I would laugh if I could see that.
I'd lose a lot of supporters.
That'd be too good. DC, second base is not the best. I mean, there's names at the top, right? But I can't get excited, man. Sure, Muncie's not a bad option at the top, but I'm trying to find a punt here. Do you got one for me?
Not really. I mean, I think Hoop pretty much nailed all the guys that I want to play. So it's a weird position, kind of like catcher, just like Hoop said, where there are some very, very strong options. And then beyond there, there's not even like a mid tiers that you could try to get contrarian with. I mean, it's close at the top for me between Muncie and Tommy Edman. I do lean Tommy Edman. We saw the other day, took Carlos Rodon deep in a game he was otherwise dominating, hit another home run, a long home run. You don't think of Tommy Edman as a power guy, but he's got a lot more power from the right side of the plate than he does from the left. He's got pull power, right? He's trying to basically yank everything out to left field when he's swinging from the right side. And that's perfect for Bumgarner, who does give up a ton of pulled fly balls. So I like Edman's chances to take Bumgarner deep, honestly. Hoop mentioned Josh Rojas. I would be shocked if Rojas is hitting anything other than leadoff tonight. So he's going to be, I think, a great option against Oviedo. And then the other guy I'll throw in the mix, your boy, and I'll take my victory lap here, Nick Solak. I told you not to play him. Right versus right. Can't be doing that. But he gets a lefty today and a bad one in Justin Sheffield. So Solak in that mix for me as well at second base.
I did not end up
treated me well yesterday in that the afternoon slate. He got a nice little triple and scored a run for me. I kind of just punted off with him. And
who's that?
Solak yesterday afternoon, I believe. The
must have been 2 days ago.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever the hell day it was. But I did get a text. I did get a text from our boy G Risen. Okay, I have G Risen's up in smoke play of the day, but need to get those likes up to get that. I mean, he's on a heater with these calls. He's already like 10 Modelo's deep on his way to like 35, and it's his birthday, so you're gonna want this. So I got it right here. We'll give it away at the end of the show, but those likes got to come up.
All right, we're at 438. We're 161. So make Hoop happy, right? You don't want him, holding these from the people. If not, obviously it'll be in the Discord chat. Hoop, I did want to go to you real quick again for a little more BS, and I know Landon will appreciate this one. Give us a PGA update from you. I'm pissed off at Michael Thompson. The rest of the team is like the Stones for me, but like not the Stones, but it's good. But where are you at on the PGA so far? Sweating that out?
Yeah, Thompson hurt my feelings, but ended up getting I think I got like 50% Spieth, so that part's going well. Have some coke rack, so we're in pretty good shape. But yeah, Thompson kind of hurt, and Denny McCarthy too. F him, McCarthy. Oh, disaster. But overall, pretty good so far.
It does feel like a lot of the 6K guys were pretty bad. I don't know how Whaley's doing right now. I know he was like crushing at first, but he could easily. I mean, those 6K guys can always tank on the second day. You never feel good until they actually make it through. So I was curious where you were at on the PGA. Sounds like you're in a decent position. DC, I'm assuming you did not play the PGA. You'll be saving your money for the MMA slate, I believe, this weekend. Or is there not an MMA slate?
No MMA.
Yeah, there's an MMA slate. I think. I don't think there's a pay-per-view card. That would be good. And no PGA for me this week. Didn't hit on the PGA Championship, but I dabble. It's like an every other week thing for me.
All right. Well,
I don't think there is MMA, is there?
DC,
I don't know.
There might not be.
There's not a big card because I haven't seen anything about it. So
I think I'm pretty sure it's off, but
I'm looking at the lobby. Yeah, no, they're off. So, but we have MMA over here at Run Pure Sports. Typically when it's on, there's no MMA though this week. Forgot about that. But let's dive in and let's go over and talk about the third base position. And there are options you can go to. Nolan Arenado in some hotter weather against a lefty named Madison Bumgarner. I think he's certainly in play. You cannot ignore him. There's one other guy. Justin Turner. I don't hate him against Desclafani just because, hey, if you kind of, get to him a little bit, which I know JT and his Bang Bang Plays talked about, you maybe get to the bullpen a little bit. And Justin Turner is also an elite hitter, and to have an elite hitter at 4.5 price tag, that could be maybe lower owned. I think that's certainly in play. So DC, we'll go to you first. What are you doing at the third base position?
Yeah, kind of another position where I want to spend. And, that's kind of been a common theme so far, right? As we go through, it looks like there's a lot of good options at the top and then not so many cheap punt options. Now that could change, right? Maybe we'll get some surprise guys in the lineup that allow us to get up to guys, but it's just interesting if that doesn't happen. Like, we obviously all want to play Garrett Cole, but these top end bats, they are, I think, legitimately superior options than some of the lower price guys. So I have it Arenado 1 up top, Moncada 2, really, really close between those two guys. I think those are, again, two of the top stacks. So which one I go to would kind of just depend on, whatever my individual lineup has more White Sox or more Cardinals. So really love both those guys. If the Boston game plays, that game is still on for now. Rafael Devers is underpriced at 4,600. Actually like Poteet as a pitcher, but still a good price tag there for Rafael Devers. Kyle Seager, I like quite a bit at 4,400 against Jordan Lyles, who's not any good. I think he'll go a little bit underowned. And then the two Twins guys, Miguel Sano and Josh Donaldson. I lean slightly Sano here, but close call against two guys that can crush a mediocre lefty like they faced tonight. So do kind of want to spend here for the most part.
Yeah, Hoop, we got someone asking before we get to your third base plays. They're asking about the MMA content, and we don't have like a package, right? This is your segment, right? We don't have like an MMA package. We got it all under one umbrella. So Hoop, tell them a little bit about it. Tell Anthony.
Part of I was going to touch on that. I saw the question. Yeah, it's part of my typical rant. One price gets you everything. So you get all the sports, including MMA. And I mean, okay, yes, obviously I'm a little bit biased, but I think the breakdown that Titletown does is one of the best in the industry. It's a fight by fight breakdown, gives you a strong lean on the fight. I mean, I've read MMA content from multiple sites, and I honestly think the MMA content around the industry is one of the more embarrassing overall pieces that other sites offer, because you read it and they'll get to the bottom of the fight and they say, well, I think, I'm going to have like 45% this guy, and then I'm going to have 55% the other guy. I mean, just never any strong takes. I mean, maybe you guys have read other things, but everything I've read is just like no strong opinions on what's going to happen. Oh, I'm going to have a little bit.
I think I know the piece that you're referring to. It's a lot of words, and you read it all, and you don't even know who he thinks is going to win the fight at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's like the most, like, because I was new to MMA after the break last year. I never really followed UFC or anything, so I started reading this stuff, and then like they give you the fight breakdown. You get to the bottom, and you have no clue who the guy is on. Yeah. It was the most confusing thing.
You get like their 10-year history and stuff. It's like, okay, but who's going to win?
Yeah. I mean, massive paragraphs of analysis with like no strong lean whatsoever. But Title does a good job breaking down all the fights. And we have like a ranking system for the big UFC shows. DC, Titletown, and our boy Joey Work do a show for the that's just for the pay-per-view event. So yeah, I mean, obviously a little bit biased, but I think it's a phenomenal breakdown and really makes it easy if you're new to MMA like myself.
Yeah, and we also have NASCAR. Like, if you really want, I don't know if Big Trucks 44 is coming out tonight, but there's an 838 slate of the trucks. So you got trucks, you got Xfinity, and you got NASCAR this weekend. So, and it's some night racing on Sunday night, the Coca-Cola race. I think it's like one of the longest races. So, hey, you'll definitely get the sweat equity out of that one. But yeah, definitely check all that out. But Hoop, give us your third base options. I mean, there's guys at the top to look at, and I believe Moncada's not in the lineup, so it's getting a little bit thinner at the top.
Yeah, Moncada is usually one of my boys not in there, but yeah, a lot of the same guys DC mentioned, like Arenado is clearly the top guy at the top if you're going to spend all the way up. I don't think you have to. We have some cheaper options. Donaldson has a good price tag at 4K. I really like that Twins lineup. Sano, you can play at third base as well. He's 4.2K, another strong option. Eduardo Escobar is a guy that you can consider as well if you're on the Diamondbacks like I am. Again, this is going to be a position where I'm going to be looking to spend a little bit of money. I mean, we have some very solid options, 4K and above. I don't really see myself going down in Turner too. You mentioned Turner. I think Turner's a fine option too. So we have like 5 guys, 4K and above that are strong options tonight. I really don't see the need to go cheap at the third base position tonight. I think it's definitely not necessarily spend up, because you can get, some guys in that 4K range. I don't necessarily think 4K is spending up. So I think it's a position where you just don't want to go super cheap. There's a lot of good options here.
Yeah, for sure. Let's move on over and let's talk about the shortstop position. And at the top, I mean, good spot here. I know Valdez isn't a guy I typically target, but Fernando Tatis, if I got the money, good spot here against the lefty. Can't ignore him. We like some White Sox, but it's not Tim Anderson against the lefty. Still in play. I know he's off an injury. DC, you typically like to spend up at the shortstop position. Are you doing that today, or are you spending down with a guy like Mondesi who, hey, 2-8 against Dobnik? I don't want to ignore that tag.
Yeah, I think you want one of the guys at the top. You know, Tatis looks like he's in a great spot. Bo Bichette, Polanco, although he's just not the quality of hitter. I don't know why he's 5,200, and he has been for a while. He's like the anti Andrew Vaughn, where he just hasn't done anything to adjust the price tag, but they keep him up there. But yeah, Mondesi is my guy here. You know, I said I do like Dobnak a little bit, but Dobnak's biggest flaw is that he can't strike anybody out. And Mondesi's biggest flaw is that he strikes out way too often, right? The fastest player in baseball against a ground ball pitcher. Listen, when Mondesi hits ground balls, a lot of times those turn into singles because he's just so fast. And he's going to be able to make contact. Good things happen for Alberto Mondesi when he makes contact. You get the guy on first base, Dobnak mediocre at holding runners. That probably means Mondesi going to be off to the races if he gets a chance. So 2,800 for Mondesi. I mean, I think he's got, he's got power and speed, mostly speed, but he's got some power too. He's healthy. He's good to go. I think he's, at least for my money, clearly the best point per dollar play. And, we've talked about the previous four positions, a lot of guys that we kind of want to spend on. I think Mondesi, the guy I want to save on here.
Yep. Hoop, are you in agreement? Are you spending up? You spending down? Typically, I like to spend up at shortstop, but Mondesi is kind of interesting at 2.8 price tag, or you could use it maybe as filling out your stack for the position today.
Yeah, Mondesi at 2.8 stands out. There's upside there. It's not like you're going under 3K and just hoping the guy gets like a single or something.
Right.
This is a spot where there's clear upside with a guy like Mondesi at 2.8K. The matchup is favorable for him as well. I mean, he to me is the guy that I'm going to be focused in on here. Now, there's some other options. Obviously, Tatis, if you want to go all the way up.
Yep.
Tim Anderson back at 5.1K. I think he's an option. If we get Sosa in a decent lineup spot against Bumgarner, he's 3K. We can go other ways if we want, but Mondesi at 2.8 is the clear standout. You can play Edman at shortstop too, 4.8K. We talked about him when we talked about the second baseman. So there's other ways you can go at this position. I think those are definitely going to be the 4 to 5 guys that I'm looking at here. But definitely a strong lean to Mondesi at 2.8K. Saves you some salary in those lineups where you might be paying up for 2 pitchers. He's just a perfect fit.
There you go. Don't got too much else to say at the shortstop position. Let's move it on over to the outfield, DC, and tons of guys you can go to. Obviously, we talked about Andrew Vaughn already, but we got tons and tons of options, DC. Are you spending up? You spending down? You spending for those Diamondbacks? What are you doing here?
Yeah, it looks like mostly a spend down. We already lost Ronald Acuna off the slate. Aaron Judge in kind of a tough weather game in Detroit isn't super ideal to spend up on. We maybe are going to lose JD Martinez, lost Juan Soto already. Mookie Betts against the righty. It's not the greatest thing to pay up for. Even Nelson Cruz. I've talked about this before the last game. I talked about it on the pod last night. I'm worried he's hurt right now. He's battling a wrist injury, got punked on the wrist about a week ago, missed 4 or 5 games. And listen, he's a DH, right? So he doesn't need to play the field. He only needs to hit. And if his wrist is hurting so bad from being hit by a baseball that he has to miss 4 or 5 games, do you think he's finally fully healthy now? Probably not, right? Probably his wrist is still banged up a little bit. So he's a fade for me. Obviously could come back to bite me, a great matchup and all that. But yeah, I do like spending down here. A couple of the Cardinals guys, Dylan Carlson swings really well from the right side. He will almost assuredly be hitting second tonight for the Cardinals behind Tommy Edman. And then Tyler O'Neill made his return, had a fractured finger, but came back last night kind of unexpectedly early and hit a bomb. So he's, at this point, I consider him good to go. Good matchup against Bumgarner. So yeah, like those 2 guys for cheap, and don't particularly love the expensive guys. So I think I'll probably mostly be trying to save a little salary cap at the outfield.
All right, Hoop, how about you? Outfield, I like Peralta and Marte a little bit. Those are some guys I'm looking at. Who are the guys that you're looking at there, Hoop?
Yeah, I like those guys. Just to touch on a comment in the chat, someone tagged me about a MMA contributor analysis and the analyst in the industry. Let me say this: our team, DC title, Joey Work, far superior than the person that was mentioned in the chat. Like, that guy might know MMA. We know how to apply it to DFS and sports betting. Our team blows those people out of the water. But in terms of outfield, I mean, this is a spot where I probably want to save. You know, we talked about catcher. We really like those catchers that we want to spend up for. We talked about third base, another spot where we might potentially want to spend. I will most likely be saving here, and we're going to have a lot of options. I don't think the spends are great, like DC broke down. You can go to Carlson at 3K, should be batting second. Yep. He's on 3K, really good price tag. We have Andrew Vaughn. If you want to play Paul Goldschmidt at first base, you can plug in Andrew Vaughn, 2.5K in the outfield. Garlick batting leadoff, 3.3K. Just to name a few. If you want to punt and tournament play, a guy I love in tournaments, I really like this Twins lineup today. Russ Snyder, 2.4K. Batting eighth, no one will play him. He had that massive game. What did he do in that game? It was pretty wild the other night. 3 for 4, 2 doubles, a home run. He put up a 30-piece 2 games ago against Baltimore. Definitely a tournament option, obviously. As the lineups come in, there's going to be more cheap guys. So overall, I am going to be saving money at this position so I can spend up at others. But yeah, I mean, even that low 4K range, we have options. We got Ketel Marte, like you mentioned, David Peralta to get exposure to the Diamondbacks. So I'm not going to go to the top tier in outfield. I don't think there's a need to do that tonight.
All right, no need for Hoop to go to the top tier in the outfield, but hey, it's a good slate. And one reason why is, again, pitching at the top is pretty good. We got to get on to our stacks of the day. Before that, though, guys, please hit that like, hit that subscribe on the video. Helps us out a ton. If we get those likes up, we're going to give away G Risen's play of the day. And it's his birthday, and he's been killing it on those. So, hey, hit those likes so Hoop is happy. And then we got, coming up next, we got the premium show. I don't know everyone who's going to be on it today, but I believe JSU will be there, probably Big T as well. So be sure to check that out. I'm sure Holden will be hosting it too. But let's go on to the stacks. DC, I'll go over to you first. Give me your favorite stacks today.
Yeah, the Cardinals, my kind of clear favorite. Now, I will say I think there is some risk that I think Bumgarner is a good enough pitcher where, he could pitch well and shut it down. But when you're stacking up, right, like you're hoping for the most possible upside. And for me, that's the Cardinals tonight. I think if Bumgarner is not sharp, I think they will hit multiple home runs off him, get into a bad bullpen early, and continue to do damage from there. So Cardinals number 1 for me. I have the White Sox second, obviously going up against Matt Harvey. Looks like the weather's improving in Chicago. Hard to go wrong there. Same game as the Cardinals. I got the D-backs third against Oviedo. He's a talented pitcher, but he's just not MLB ready right now. And he can be very, very wild. I love stacking against wild pitchers. I've put the Twins fourth against Bubic. Obviously love a lot of their power right-handed bats. Garver leading the way for me. And the fifth stack I listed in the playbook is the Mariners. More of a play against Jordan Lyles, but I do have confidence that the top half of the Mariners lineup, that's Kelenic, Haniger, Kyle Lewis, and Kyle Seager, those 4 guys, I think are going to do some damage going forward. Hasn't really come together yet, but I think it will. And, Jordan Lyles, certainly no one to be afraid of.
Yep. Hoop, the chat's working you today. They want your stacks, but also they want to know, it's new sub here from June Yar. He says, is there content for the DK weekend golf slate? So I guess tell the people a little bit about that, Hoop.
Yeah, our boy Snyder does a modified playbook for every round of the PGA events every single weekend. So if you're a new member and you're on the website, you go to the Showdown version of the website and click on golf, and that playbook will come up. It's basically a ranking system, each pricing tier, and then we have core plays from, I think, 4 of our guys at the top. We'll give you 3 guys that they're building their teams around. It's a really good breakdown. Like I said, our boy Snyder does it. He's grinding these things out every single weekend, round 1 through 4. So but you got to hit the showdown part of the website. There's a link at the top. So for my stacks, my favorite is I like the Twins tonight just because of their lineup. I think you can get really unique with this lineup. Guys, for me, 1 through 8 are all in play tonight. So you can make, different variations. So give me the Twins up top, and then maybe like a lower owned one. I kind of like the Dodgers a little bit. I don't think they're going to have much ownership tonight. And, if they can get to that bullpen, like you guys mentioned, I think they can definitely find some success here. So up top, it's going to be the Twins in terms of ownership, and then a lower owned one. I kind of like the Dodgers.
Wow, I did feel like an idiot yesterday. I was looking at the top of the leaderboard and I said, oh, like the White Sox had ownership, right? But they could have been higher owned on like a slate that we had yesterday. And then I saw a low owned Dodger stack on a small slate. And I'm like, how on earth are the 2 best offenses like on like the winning team? At least at the time it was like not even owned, which was crazy to think. Justin Turner on that slate was only 7%. Wouldn't be shocked if he's low owned again. So love the Dodgers call. Hoop. We do got Uncle T in the chat. He's mentioning Hoop. It's not just some guys on the core plays for PGA. It's, it's Uncle T, it's Snyder, and it's you, right? So, give yourself some credit. You're good at golf, and you'll be giving out the core plays for that. So be sure to check that out. My stacks, I think my 2 favorites right now are Arizona and the White Sox, but I'm still kind of dabbling on what other stacks I want to go to. I think, great points made on the other ones, and Cardinals, of course, because of that weather and the pitching. I'm not scared of that Arizona team at all. Hoop, are we able to give out the plays of the day? Are we holding them hostage? What's the verdict here, Hoop?
I mean, we got over the 200 likes. We'll go with it for sure. I mean, it's Friday. Things are kind of slowing down a little bit, so we'll go with the plays.
All right. Well, I'll kick it off. I'll give you my play of the day. I got Ketel Marte. I love him in this spot, and he's a guy, again, if you spend up a little bit at the outfield, and he's not in the 5-8 range or anything, so you can find a way to get it in there. Ketel Marte, I think he's going to go a little bit lower owned, and I'll go with him as my play of the day. Hoop, we'll go to you next for your play of the day. Who do we got here? What are you giving us?
All right, I'm going to the White Sox team, and it's a guy that's kind of treated me well this season when he gets into the lineup. I mean, he's not an everyday lineup guy, but he's in there tonight. He's batting 6. It's going to be our boy Jake Lamb. Really like Jake Lamb tonight to hit us a homer.
DC, what's the pinch hit risk on Jake Lamb? I do ask that. I like him, but at the same time, I do want to know the pinch hit risk. And as some people
it's there. Yeah, it's there. I mean, luckily for me, he's hit a bomb every time before he's got pinch hit for.
I always stare at him, and sometimes I play him, and sometimes I don't. And he always hits that bomb, but I get why you love him. So I don't know, DC, what do you do with the pinch hit risk? Because I feel like I don't hear people talk about that enough.
Pinch hit risk is rather high for Jake Lamb tonight. The Orioles do have 4 available lefties in the pen. You don't like to see that for Jake Lamb.
Yeah, I will say I think JT was talking about it. He said the Cardinals, their 2 best relievers have pitched the last 2 nights. So doubt, they're not in a playoff run right now. Doubt they pitch again tonight. So you could see some bad Cardinals relievers. So that's some more bullpen info coming from greats like DC and JT who are bringing that to you and bringing that info in the Discord. But good call on Jake Lamb. He's someone I always look at in the White Sox stack. And yeah, people are scared to roster, so you might get some lower ownership, especially at 3.9. So good call there, Hoop. DC, we're gonna, me and Hoop are gonna walk down to the mom's basement and eat some bagel bites on a Friday night for the weekend. We got off on Monday. It's gonna be a good time. So give us your play of the day.
Oof, a lot of good choices, mostly coming from one team. But I'm gonna go with Dylan Carlson. He'll be hitting second for the Cardinals tonight. I love the way he swings from the right side. I like this team in general. Obviously, if you've been watching the show, I'm very high on the Cardinals tonight. So, it was between a few of them, but I'll go with Dylan Carlson as kind of the cheap guy, and I like spending down at the outfield. So he's my mom's basement bagel bites play of the day.
All right. Give us the G Ryzen smoke and fire. I don't know what it is called. All the Modelo's play of the day. What do we got here?
Modelo's, case of Modelo's, up in smoke. I mean, there are a lot of options that you can go with when you talk about the G Ryzen play of the day, but I got the guy here. Let me pull it up to make sure. Okay, so he's saying it's the birthday home run call of the night, which that's like way too friendly, and it's the up in smoke, case of Modelo's, some combination of that play of the day.
Packing heat, like just it's got to be like that.
Exactly. It's not the birthday home run call of the night. We're not doing that. Nolan Arenado.
There we go. There we go. I was hoping it was someone in my lineup. It was. So yeah, I'm riding with the G Rising tonight.
Let's roll.
There you go. There, it's Mr. Nolan Arenado there. So you love that. Before we get out of here, we got the next show coming up. You got any NBA bets for the people? I know someone in the chat says we helped them cash some bets. I was part of that. I know you've been high on Denver. I like Portland for the series, but I was on Denver yesterday. I did like them. I thought that's how it would go. What do we got tonight though, Hoop?
That was easy. That was an easy play last night. The Nuggets. And I still don't know why. For the next game, Portland's favored by 4. I mean, to me, it's too much. Maybe they get it. I don't know. To me,
I agree on that.
4 is too much. And maybe I just think it's too. I already bet it again for the next time. So I'm back on the Nuggets. But for tonight, what I like is 2-team parlay. I like taking the Nets and the Clippers parlay. I think it turns out to be like plus 120. So I like that. I bet that earlier.
I'm jumping on board.
Yeah, the Nets Clippers parlay. I think the Nets. I mean, Nets are just so much better than the Celtics, and it's just not even close. And then the Clippers have to win this game tonight. Like
they are going to make a starting lineup change. They've talked about that. Like I think that's
going to.
And I think you'll see Reggie Jackson in there. And Reggie had a bad first game, but the numbers say he's been better. And it's Pat Beverly. You can shoot over him. It's like a chair, as Big T says. So it's more helpful having him in there. And I think they just need his offense because the pain is sweet there. And we did just get a lineup. No crazy changes for the Hawks. But I'll tell you this, parlay the Nets with the Hawks. Money line them up. I think the Hawks get it done here tonight. I think the Hawks.
You like that? You like Hawks Nets?
I just think the Hawks are the way better team, man. Like, I don't know. I think the Knicks, it's a fun story. It's good that, they fight hard, but I think they're just, if you did a draft tube, you drafted 5 basketball players from that series. Like who you take probably number 1, you take Trae Young, right?
I take
Randall probably 2.
Capella's 3, Bogdanovich is 4. And like, who are you taking 5? Are you taking another Hawk? Like,
yeah, I mean, they're definitely, better. Their roster is much better. I do agree with you. I do agree.
Yeah, and it's again first game at home. It's in Atlanta. We'll circle back to the start of the show. The mask mandate there was probably lifted in like January. Like it's going to be. We won't talk too much about that. We're going to get on out of here. Again, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Joey Work, you get on out of here. Your Knicks are losing tonight. Slide in the DMs if you want some action. We'll see you guys later. For me, Mangone, DC, and Hoop. Peace.